Hey friends, we are live and we are going to start our love lunch with Dawn starting today. And so hello, welcome. So we're going to start, hello, here's my guest. So we're going to start with a guest. We're actually going to start enjoying guests from this point forward on most of Love Lunch with Dawn. And so I am going to invite our guest on today in a few minutes, and we're going to have a discussion about love and about her chart and about her personality and kind of where we're going. So I'm going to start this immediately, and we're going to invite Kate on. Let's do this. So we're going to invite Kate on. I'm going to do a little mini intro here. Hello, beautiful. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How are you doing?
Doing really well.
Yeah. So, we're going to do a little mini astrology blueprint, as I call it. And basically, it's your soul signature, right? And we want to do a soul signature kind of like what's going on with you. I don't look at astrology the way a lot of people do, which is, let's tell the future, or let's see what's wrong. I think we have to look at what could be blocking you or what you came in with. Excuse me. Most people, when they come in, we make a deal, right? We make a deal with the universe. We make a deal with God. We make a deal with source, whatever that thing is. And we say, hey, I'm not really good at those things. I don't want to do those anymore. And source is like, yeah, no, you're not getting out of that, right? Not this lifetime. And beep, you're born and you come through the galaxy and you come through the universe. And this is imprinted onto your soul. And we want to see what you're avoiding, right? What are you avoiding in the universe? What are you avoiding that actually, if you did more of it, Kate, it would make you more powerful? So I ask you, I'm going to touch on just 4 hot spots, as I call them, on your chart, but I'm going to ask you if there is a relationship kind of hotspot reality while we're talking about this. What would it be, do you think? By the way, everyone, welcome Kate to the call. She's so beautiful, and I just started talking about her. And so anyway, welcome Kate. Tell me about what you would like to understand a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I am a little bit relationship avoidant.
I can see that in your chart.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
Okay, so have some self-awareness at least.
Good, you do.
Yeah, I tend to focus more on work and career
Mm-hmm.
and independence than actually partnership or connection. And so
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is a place where I have opportunity to grow, but I don't quite know how or
How or
where.
where.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So it makes a ton of sense. And I think, first of all, I want to commend you and give you kudos for, I will never bring anyone's chart up on the screen just because
Mm.
all of our birth info is on there. And so,
Hmm.
um, did you get the one I shared with you?
I
Yes.
did,
Okay.
yeah.
So when we look at a chart, one of the really most important pieces for everyone to address when we look at an astrology chart is not that, hey, what's wrong with me? It's more what's right with me and why am I avoiding these certain things, right? And we come in to not avoid them, but because they're uncomfortable and frustrating, we avoid them. And so when we look at a chart, I want you to understand that a zodiac chart is nothing more than the time you were born. We looked up on, by the way, best birthday ever. It's my father's birthday. I was like, wow, this is really crazy. And I'm from Denver, so even better, right? So I was like, wow, this is kind of weird, but cool. So you came down and we took a snapshot of the sky, how you were born. So what you're looking at is just what the sky looked like when you were born. So it's a language. It's in a language that you're projecting out energetically because there's an invisible tattoo of that language on your body, like a manual. And so some of the chapters are just, they're not fun. You're like, nah. So this is where your relationship stuff comes in. So when we look at an astrology wheel, there's 12 slices. We always start on the left-hand side with slice number 1. And we say, okay, this is a self-worth house. Then we go to number 2, which is the money house and values. What is my worth? 3 is communication. 4 is home and family security. 5 is fun and romance. 6 is health and work and service. 7 is partnerships of all kind, business and love.
Mm-hmm.
8 is intimacy, death, and regeneration, so change. 9 is higher learning and our philosophy on life. So a big philosophy goes into that, which is the we part. How do I think we should get along or be, right? Then we have 10 is our career, 11 is how we fit into the world, and 12 is like our mind, our mental health, self-imprisonment, real or imagined, but it's also our spirit, our intuition, our psychic ability, our past lives. And so we just jump right in and we go, okay, Kate really likes to be independent and she feels like she just focuses on what's easier and not relationships, which aren't your favorite thing in the world, right? Well, you being a Libra, okay, your Libra sun in this chart sits in the 12th house of mental health. And so when I see the sun sitting, Libra rules partnerships, the scales of justice, balance. So you guys are so amazing. You are ruled by the planet Venus, which is why you're beautiful and why you show up with beauty and you show up with grace and you're so balanced. Yet Libras are terrible because they don't like things to be out of balance. So they try to fix everybody else's out of balance and they self-sacrifice themselves for their own needs and their own boundaries and their own timelines, right? And so when you're sacrificing yourself, I see the sun sitting in your 12th house and I say, okay, you're actually have a sun and the sun needs to shine. But when the sun sits in our brain and our mental health, it's the one part of our body, there's never light. There's no light that gets into the skull, right? So there's a part of you, no matter how hard you shine in Libra, in balance, in relationships, it's like I never can seem to get there because you're acting more as a shining light like a Pisces, and Pisces are the sign of wishy-washy. I want it, I don't. I'm in, I'm out. I'm not sure if I should. And then the secondary aspect of Pisces would be when the sun sits in that 12th house because you feel like you're never seen. So it's kind of like the sign of the ghost, right? Like, look at everything I've done for you guys. Look at how good it is. Look at how great everything is. And they're like, yeah. And they move on. You're like, nobody sees me. Nobody loves me. Nobody knows what I did for them. And it's so you're kind of paying a double whammy because you have a rising sign Libra and a Libra sun sitting in that 12th house. So you're here to master being seen, my love. That's it. And it's a part of being seen, not to prove to people what you've done to be seen.
Oops.
Oh, that's
sorry
okay.
about
that's
that.
Okay. It's to see. She's like, nope, not gonna be seen anymore. So it's to prove more, so you can show people that instead of proving to other people, you can be seen. This is about proving to yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So this is proving to you that, you know what, I do see me and I do see how great I am. And I am okay with putting boundaries up. And I am okay with, again, letting myself out of imaginary prison. You're not in prison. You're not in jail. Now, people who have a lot of planets in there can be people who have been in jail or institutions or a lot of hospital stuff or always in some sort of institution. So there's a party that probably makes a little building, a business, a product for you to stay safe. Instead of coming out of that safety of balance, right? And so there's a party who has to wake up. So this is the main piece because you are a Libra here to learn the sign of Libra, which is partnerships. Okay, so it gets even better. Okay, so that's your 12th house of mental health, saying how I have to think about how I shine, because the sun is where we shine, is I have to learn to shine for me and not hope that others will see it.
Okay. All right, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so then we go to number 2, and your moon is up in the 9th house. And the 9th house rules beliefs and philosophy, our indoctrination, what we're believed, higher learning, higher education, travel, foreign, long distance stuff, right? This would be higher education stuff, learning something outside of like secondary. Printing, publishing, writing. You may enjoy writing or publishing or some sort of teaching. You're probably a very good teacher because the moon is where we have highs and lows. So when you're learning and you're understanding and you have this philosophy that's fitting in, and Gemini is your moon, and it's a sign of communication. And so you're like, when I can communicate my thoughts and I can communicate my beliefs and I can understand, it makes me feel really good. And I want to share it with people. And then when you can't communicate it, the sign of Gemini, it's the Jekyll and Hyde, the twin sign. So you're just like, then you're frustrated. So it's then you're very low.
Mm.
And so with having it up in this house, there's an aspect of you that emotionally needs to break into new belief systems, because this house holds the we, how I think we need to be in a relationship, not you, right? Because this is how I grew up. And so I'll always look at marriages and find out what kind of culture, belief, philosophy people were brought into when it comes to that house, because that's typically what we deliver to the partner. Right? The seventh house is partnerships, but that's not the house of the we, that's the I. That's how I'm going to show up. That's how I think we should be. And so emotionally, there's a part of you that wants to communicate and learn and grow with someone who is smart and intelligent. That's what makes your heart sing. Your heart and emotion, like you love intellect and learning. And so it's a big piece of you to watch that when someone lets you down or you're having a hard time with the communication, that you start looking at it from that perspective, because you can kind of get to a little bit of, how shall I say, romancing your thoughts about a romance instead of actual, like, the truth about the romance. Like, kind of just, you romanticize your emotions instead of actual logically looking at them going, is this really good for me or not? Like, right? But in philosophy, this should be beautiful and wonderful. But the fact is, they're not so good for you. So
Creating
kind
a
of a dreamer,
fantasy.
just kind of a dreamer, right? It can get you a little dreamy. So it's very important for this one for you to define that philosophy about life and relationships for yourself. Okay, because emotions will take us down every time. Right. And so if we don't know what our emotions, what will hold that boundary, it will be hard. So what is your, philosophical attitude? It might be difficult for some people to understand because you are brilliant and smart and you learn and you educate yourself and you want to, and then they're like, what? And so understanding who you are and what you want, understanding how to explain that to people would be a really good thing. I ask all my clients to list 100 points of their ideal partner, 100. Right? That would be good for you in this, because it would be a good philosophy to go, okay, this is what's very important to me. As opposed to just hoping the right one will just, in this utopian emotion that you come in, like, they'll just show up, because the dreamy Libra and the dreamy moon where it sits. It's why you chose to come in and get more specific and clarity with spirit in the universe saying, oh, you want to know exactly what I want. That's what this is saying. Okay. So you might love, with the moon sitting there too, a lot of long distance travels, because that's a long distance travel house. So emotionally, you might find a partner or relationship that enjoys traveling with you. That would be a good fill up your heart kind of space. Do you like to travel?
I do.
Yeah. Does that make sense on that topic?
Yeah, so it's more like traveling together than, like, let's say, being in a long distance relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
It is. And then again, I could see why you would draw that, because there's a part of you that wants freedom. Gemini rules air. I want to talk. I want to have freedom to come and go as I please. But I also want to have some connection as well. There's the twin. I want it, but I don't. Then you got Libra. I want it, but I don't. Then you got the sun sitting in the 12th house of Pisces. Wishy-washy, in and out. So you're playing this in and out game instead of getting clear with, my husband and I have homes in 2 states and we go back and forth. And I've said that a lot. We still have a very deep connection on the kind of marriage we want. That's what this is asking you.
Got it.
It's saying, you don't have to not, you can still have long distance, but is it clear? Is it clear how it's filling your heart? Is it clear about what you want? Is it really filling this up? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So then we go look at, if you can see on the chart that I sent you, in the second house, you have a little brown H in there. It is called Saturn. And it is in the second house of money and values, which again is someone who's probably very conservative financially. It's important to you to be financially stable and you have a lot of stamina with work and finance and that kind of stuff. You just work, 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 work. It's a workaholic kind of thing to put a
Mm-hmm.
setup in your chart. Um, Very traditional kind of approach because Saturn rules security foundation. It's like the cement of the house. All right. And so when you pour the cement of the house, that's great. But it's also in Scorpio saying, I can overrate the importance of in this money and values house of things. And so you're putting a little more value on having things and money than it is of intimacy and emotions and the feeling it's bringing you as opposed to the thing it's bringing you. And so thus it's sitting in the sign of Scorpio. So there's a part of you, the lesson is to kind of get the inner worth and go, wait a minute, right? Are my high standards balancing me in both ways? Like I have high standards, but do I also have value with other things that would be important that have no thing like attached? Because Scorpio is emotions, right? And so Saturn is like the mountain goat, climb the mountain, make money, climb the mountain. There you are climbing, right? But then Scorpio's like, wait a minute. I feel like, like there's just never enough. And like, I'm kind of secretive and I kind of have this power complex and I want what they have. But then you get it and you're like, oh, but I'm not happy. But I want that. Oh, but I'm still not happy. And it's going to play a power complex in your soul. And so this might make you a little prone to jealousy at times. So you got to watch that as well. Like, I want that, even though you really don't. Like, if you were really that crystal clarity, you're like, actually, I really don't want that. I just would want to have it. So watch that. This little Saturn sitting in Scorpio, which rules intimacy on the 8th house, can put blocks on you. How do I say? It's like the deepest part of you wants to share your life with another, but the deepest part of you is fearful of it at the same time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a kind of a sense of, I want to merge my reality, but I'm not quite sure how. And that's what you were sharing right at the beginning of the call, which is funny, as like, this is part of it. And so you kind of can become again, that moon sign, a sign, a student of learning and spirit and education and wisdom and relationships, but you still can't quite get there. And this is saying, look, I need you to master your own hidden drives of why you're, heal the emotions inside about my value and not my money. And that's where you're getting tripped up. Money and things instead of my value and worth. And Scorpio rules the dark, the secrets.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think I might need a little bit more clarification.
So it's more like, what am I worth? What are my values? Am I worth having a partnership and a relationship that's total badass and amazing, but still having all the things I want as well? I'm worth having all of it and then some. So we kind of segregate. No, I'll just work over here more and have less there and more here. And so what are
Finding
you
the
worth?
balance. Yeah,
Yeah.
finding the balance in it instead of compromising one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's just easier for you to compromise because the work is easier.
And yeah, you talked about like what we resist. So that's sort of the piece that I'm resisting.
Mm-hmm.
It's the other side of it.
Well, because if you totally let someone in, what could that do to you? What could it do to you? I mean, if you really let them in and truly opened up, like the value when sped the truth and, hey, these are my 100 points and I don't think you're it. Like, you could end it, right? Or it could enhance it, or it could say, someone could say, okay, like you have all these coulds or possibilities, yet they're not really playing themselves out. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
So there's a power trip going on with it sitting here, and it's just basically Saturn says, look, I'm the lesson planet. I'm a hard knocks lesson planet, and I'm going to keep poking you in this value, money, and worthiness part of your life of building until you learn the lesson. Now Saturn goes, I'm going to make it hard on you until you finally learn. When you learn it, I'm the blessing that just keeps giving, which is why I keep saying emotions and physical can have both. But Saturn's like, yeah, she's not doing the emotional. She's not doing the intimate connection. Like, she's not having it all. She's just, like you said, out of balance. So that's what's showing up.
Okay.
So Saturn says, I'm the gift that just keeps giving if you'll just stay here, right? But we're like, no. And so you focus on only the sliver. That's what's coming up there. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Okay. And then we go look at, so that would have been the 2 hot spots. The third hot spot will be up again back into the 9th house, which is called Chiron. It's right by your moon. And Chiron is where we're wounded as a child, and we're here to heal and teach as an adult. And your Chiron is also in this higher education, higher learning. It's almost like you're not smart enough, or you didn't learn enough, or you need to learn more. There's got to be more. There's got to be something else you can learn to make this better, right? And I don't know if it was as a child there was some painful lesson around wisdom or learning or your philosophy, and it could be wrapped around religion, but I'm not quite sure if there was like a very boxed in structure for you, and you were kind of like, but there's more than one way. Or up until this time, right, there might have been parental figures, right? For whatever reason, this comes up as a challenge for you. And seeing, I want to see both sides, and maybe there was only one way. Or you kind of felt challenged by a certain parent only because you beat to a different beat, and that parent didn't have the same beat. Is what I would kind of anticipate on this, and I would kind of anticipate into someone was less organized than you wanted them to be in life, a parent. I don't know if that means anything to you. Does it?
Yeah, it could.
Let me see. So when I look at Chiron here, there's a part of you that, again, it's just more, it's sitting in this higher learning house. It's the foreign travel. It's like you can shine with all these expanded ideas instead of these fixed ways of living. And that's you coming in and blending it. Okay. That's what it's showing you. So what it's asking is having the intellect, learning how to get the intellect of that education to communicate your ideas with others. And it's almost like you couldn't communicate exactly what you were trying to say because it's in the sign of Gemini, communication, right? So your moon is there, your wound is there. And it was like, I want to say what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't quite come out how I want it to. A little bit of anxiety. Do you have anxiety issues?
I don't.
No. So
No.
again, it's more about the being busy, always trying to fix for others instead. They can be all different levels. They're just the overthinking, over communicating, like trying to overdo it for everybody else.
Yeah.
So this is a very big everybody else chart, and you're probably very good at it, but you're lacking in the heart aspect. And it comes from your heart, but there's more of you coming from the head because you have Libra and Gemini, 2 Libra risings in Gemini, which are both air signs, which are both intellect. So you think through everything, right? And it wants to get here, and it keeps popping up to here. And I'm going to keep getting you to pull it back into your heart. And so this desire to communicate. Do you write? Are you a writer?
Not by trade, but yeah, I do. I do write quite a bit.
Okay. This would be something to help you again with the communication. I don't know, was there an issue with communicating as a child?
Maybe just being shut down a little bit.
The shutdown has carried over into adulthood, right? And so this is where you writing down exactly what you want to say to others will help you. Because this is the printing and publishing house. Whatever you're writing could turn into a book at one point of your life, later in life, whenever you want. That's what this house is. By writing it, it puts it into physicality for you. And then the communication's easier for you because you've almost had like a playthrough of it by writing it. So I would work through a lot of your communication of, am I being clear about what I want, or am I communicating just so they can have what they want? That will help you a ton. Okay, so this is accepting that value about yourself and then writing down. And if you write down your value, times it times 10, then start writing about it there. Okay. So there is that in and out. Now, the last piece I'm going to go over, and then you can ask whatever questions you want. That way you can see these 4 hot spots in your chart. But if you look in the 7th house, The seventh house is the sign of partnership. And if you take the zodiac wheel, which is one starts over here, number one, 1, 2, 3, it goes April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and the seventh house is Libra. And so you have all this Libra energy, and then you have your North Node, which is karma. That is your life purpose, my dear. And so this is what God put you on this planet for. And you're like, no, I don't want to do that, because in past lives, it was in the South Node, which is, when I look at your chart, I go, oh, her South Node sits in the first house of Aries, of self, independence, by myself. I could do it on my own, right? So the roots of the tree sit there, and we water it, do it independent. I want to do it all myself. I don't want to get smothered. I'm fearful of like blending my life with another. You keep watering the roots, and the roots get root rot. The tree falls over, and then she calls and says, Dawn, let's do a chart. Something's not right. My balance of my partnerships isn't working, because the leaves of your tree needed watering as much as the roots needed. And the leaves of your tree sit in the seventh house of partnership. And they sit in Taurus, which rules money and value. And again, so you've mastered the money part, the drive, the career. Now we have to go, oh, I have to put a few bananas and some, plums and peaches on my tree with sweet fruit of love and partnership and balance. And so there's an aspect that you're going to have to work through on knowing that we can avoid most of this chart, but I tell people that moon and that North Node are pretty much the game changers in a chart.
Okay.
The moon, when we learn to speak our truth about it, it's our emotions. Nobody sees it, but maybe you and I and your mom or someone close to you, right? Those are how we feel high-low. And then that North Node is what we're here to complete. You can do it when you're 90, and you can keep avoiding it. And then you'll be in the old folks' home, and then you'll find the love of your life, right? Like, do you see what I mean? We can do it wherever we want, or you can do it today. And so learning to understand that in past lives, the South Node is past lives. This is your current now life in the North Node. And so past lives, you came in independent, doing things on your own. Have you ever been married? Because that North Node would put pressure on you to have challenges in marriage or relationships.
No, I haven't.
So see, you're already avoiding it altogether. So yeah, we need a couple bananas, Kate. We need some bananas on that tree and a couple peaches. So this is where it's showing up 100%. Like, some people will try, but they won't make it. That will still hold back. So whether you got married or you're holding back, it's still the same challenge. And so this North Node is a very spiritual placement, because it's all about worth and having both, right? And so, like I said, in past lives, you were concerned about yourself and yourself alone. This life, you have to learn how to blend your life with another. And so it's not going to be easy. But again, now that you know it, you're like, okay, Dawn told me I don't have a choice. Saturn, Moon, and North Node, if I can master them, I'm good, right? And so this is where your concern for another person isn't natural for you because of past life energy you brought in. It's not that you're not here to do it, but you picked Libra, 3 planets in Libra. You picked a North Node in the Libra house. You picked so much partnership stuff to not avoid it. This is where the tattoo coming from spirit goes beep, and you're like, oh man, this is what happened. Okay, so the good news is that if you focus your energies outward of understanding, okay, how do I bring an intimate partner or pure, even career partners, looking at them from a different perspective, seeing it as a spiritual evolution for your soul, as opposed to, oh, what's going to happen if I get too close, right? And so it'll help you start understanding how to get more of a grip on what is really important to me in a relationship, and then learning to use your voice to share it.
Okay.
As opposed to accommodating everyone else and what they need. That's why you hold them at bay, because if they get too close, they'll suck the ever-living life out of you. Right?
I've only experienced that 10 times.
Makes sense?
That does make sense.
And you're an air sign, so you may attract fire signs a lot, who are, fire needs air to burn. So they do pull on your energy. And this is a you boundary thing of going, I can still have it. I just have to have limits. And it's super okay. Hey, my son is in the 12th house of self-sacrifice. Oh, I have to put boundaries. It's okay. So your mission right now on this lifetime is to revolve around truly giving of yourself to another with a sense of truth, right? This is my truth. These are my boundaries. I want to be with you, but I need to be with you in this truth. And that's a whole different ball game as opposed to holding them over here so they can't hurt you or they can't suck the life out of you, which is probably what happens a lot given all the air in your chart. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It definitely
Okay.
does.
Okay.
It
Does it
seems
help?
like it seems kind of complicated and confusing though, because it's like opposing forces almost.
What way?
Like, um, I don't know that I'm like so independent, but then I'm supposed to be learning these lessons in like partnerships or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be, it's what you chose as a soul to come in and learn.
Mm,
And so your independence is, think of it as an energetic of balancing your divine masculine and your divine feminine. No
hmm
soul body comes in without both, right? Like we all have both. It's just that you've mastered the divine masculine of doing, driving, creation, building, and divine feminine. Funny, you come in with all this Libra Venuvian energy, but you've pushed that down. And so this is really just a matter of you balancing the two and going, oh, I don't have to give up my drive personality. I just have to bring this one up as well.
mm,
So I'm balanced. The masculine yang and the yin yang symbol still has a dot of white. The feminine yin still has a dot of black. And they're flowing. They're not just the ocean waves don't just keep flowing out and they never come back in. You still have to receive.
hmm
And receiving is feminine. Receiving is love. And that's why it's hard for certain personalities like you because you're like, wow, I do have to do both. And it isn't comfortable. Do it anyway. And speak the words about it. I'm doing this with you, XYZ partner, and this is really uncomfortable for me, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I may fumble and I may fall and I may say it terribly and I may have to write it down for you. I'm not going to do a great job at the beginning, but I'm going to practice
hmm
because I'm really good at this. And so my point is, you wouldn't, do you have a business? Do you
I
do?
do.
Okay. Do you make plans for your business like weekly, monthly? Oh, see,
Oh
every
my
time.
goodness,
Every person's
every
like, no, I don't want to talk
time.
about
I'm just
that.
gonna hold on to it.
That's
I'm not
okay.
gonna put it up there anymore.
Do you do you make plans in your business to achieve things?
Yeah,
Do you make plans in your relationships to achieve things?
I used to, but not anymore.
It's not the plan of business of like this is how you're going to be for me. You have to
hmm
start making plans together as a team of saying as a team this is our plan to create beauty and abundance and connection and love. We don't plan the business of love. We plan business and then we get into love and go, but why aren't you liking me? Why aren't you doing what I want? You don't like me anymore. And the answer is like, well, they have no freaking clue what to do because there's
Yeah.
no plan, right? There's
Um,
no order and structure. So it's funny, we go into business and we go into things and we do all things externally, but we do not do it in love. And I'm not saying control
mm,
your lover. I'm saying together as a team going, what kind of love do we want? Do I want to, do you want your parents' marriage in
no.
relationships? There you go. But you're bringing it.
Mm.
Can you see yourself bringing the parents' marriage sometimes into your relationships?
hmm
Have you ever seen them bring their parents' marriage topics and ideas into the relationship with you?
Potentially,
Like,
yeah.
oh, you're acting like your mom or you're acting like your dad kind of a
hmm
thing?
hmm
Mm-hmm. We all do it because we don't plan the relationship that we want. We'll just say you're not deciding what the empire of love you want to build. You're accepting just that love is love, and love isn't worked that way. Love is actually truth. The truth is I would really like to build this love and connection and life with you. And how do we do it? Let's do it together. And you don't like conflict. You are a sign that does not like conflict. So
Right.
when you're like so afraid that what if they don't like it? What if I tell them the truth? And what if we argue? And and it's like almost like you have to take a breath for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to help you with that, you say, look, I want to be together. I want to commit to the business of love. And what kind of love empire would we create? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It feels really scary, but it makes complete sense.
Well, but if you wrote it down, it would be a lot more visual for you. And that way you could have a little bit more of a plan, right? And
Hmm.
thus start with 100 points and then start with the, okay, top 10 non-negotiable. Oh, here's another Libra on the call with us going, yep, there we go.
Yeah.
She knows, she struggles too. So we want to fix everybody else and we forget to fix us. And there's not a sign
Hmm.
in the zodiac that's not going through this spiritual transformation right now. So you aren't getting out of it, my dear, because that's your karma. Now, the funny part is that North Node, the leaves of that tree, we want a big canopy with fruit. Um, Source and universe says, hey, even if you don't do it this lifetime, that's okay. Beep, you'll just be born again and you get to do it again. So my advice is try to get it done this lifetime, right? Like instead of avoiding it, going, that's really scary. What would happen if you let someone in and built a love empire and a business empire,
Yeah,
right?
seeing what's possible. Hmm.
Yeah. And I'm assuming father, because Saturn is father and energy sitting in that second house of value. Was there a little bit of lack of value from father?
Yes.
Yeah. So you will continue to repeat that lack of value in a masculine male. Yeah, am I getting you
Yep.
there? Sorry, I
That's
didn't mean to
okay.
bring you cry, but at
That's
least
okay.
we hit the nail on the head. Um, you chose this chart, sweetie. Okay, you chose this chart because of that, for a reason. Because if he gave you the value, you would have missed the fact that you're here to see it in yourself. You're not hiding from it. You're beautiful and you're talented. And that is why you came. Was it he wasn't available or he trashed you not and told you you weren't good enough? Which one?
Not available.
Yeah. Um, you picked that dad for a reason. We do. As crazy as it's hard to reveal to ourselves, we pick these parents so that we don't get lazy. And if he would have been there in that perspective, you would have gotten lazy. And look what you've built. Now you get to build the second half. You're going to make it to 125 years old. So we got plenty of time ahead of us.
Uh-oh.
Okay. It's funny because astrology charts, the culture and the way programming has been in society has been programmed. Oh, 65, 80, you're going to die. In astrology charts, we know better energetically when you know this, the soul energy. We're supposed to be here from 125 to 200 years old, but we haven't been taught how. So don't get caught on years and age and all that. You're here to be married and to be in love and to have bliss. This again, this partnership of love, this beautiful love. It's that we have to go, I don't want that kind of marriage or relationship. So if you don't, instead of saying what you don't want, I want you to work on what you do want.
Hmm.
And we can't find him if we don't know what he looks like. Right? And they could be silly, tiny little things like someone who cooks. I'm like you, busy and running a business and doing so many things, and I'm on screen, and I don't enjoy cooking at all. But my
Hmm.
husband was on that list for me, and I said, someone who cooks. And boy, he cooks good food, and he's good to me, and he spoils me, and he makes me great. So that one little thing was an awesome thing. I want you to start thinking through that.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So we're not going to keep avoiding not seeing a situation with dad pop up again. We're going to start working at, if I don't want that, what would the empire of love actually look like?
Yeah, what I've been working on is healing it sort of in a silo, in a vacuum, like healing it with myself, not healing it with others, I think.
Where is it hurt the most for you?
It's like whole. It's just something in the core
Mhm.
that's
How
missing.
old was he gone?
Well, he was physically there, just not emotionally there
Yeah.
at all.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
and still is. Yeah.
so would you say that you're an emotionally available person?
Not with men.
So if we don't want to repeat his habits, right? We have
Hmm.
to override the system and say, okay, that means I have to learn from him why I came. They typically will show you the most extreme version of yourself. So you can go, oh, fuck no. Like, you got to get to that point. You have to get that extreme. Like, I can love him as what he taught me not to be. as opposed to, right? It's,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wounded. You are not wounded. Girl, you are beautiful and perfect and amazing and every way. I can look at this chart. You're perfect. He showed you how to be a more badass self. That's it. So you're not wounded. He did not love you. He gave you a picture so you could go get the next version of what you really deserve. That's what he gave you. And that's the freaking cool part when we look at this chart and you can see it
Mm-hmm.
right there, right? He didn't tell you what you weren't. He's telling you, don't be this little. I know you're bigger than that. Which is why you tried to come in this lifetime with all this Libra energy and tried to avoid partnerships, and you picked him to show you, oh, no, no, you are not going to not live another lifetime of not being seen. And he then said, no, I don't want to see you. And you're like, see, I got proof. See, nobody sees me. And even the one who's supposed to love me, he doesn't see me either. So I must not be valuable. Comes up all the time for you, doesn't it? It's not true. Because I have proof on this chart. You have proof. So the proof is that you're perfect, and now you get to go. Now, you know the concept of forgive and forget. And people are like, gotta forgive them. I don't agree with that. I agree with you need to forgive yourself for thinking that was okay, that you were wounded and wronged, because you're not. And then you need to forget that he didn't mean to. You need to forget him in the sense of he was supposed to be a father. This is the label. If I'm a father, these are the rules, and this is how I'm supposed to perform my duties. And then they
Mm-hmm.
don't. We're like, see, I'm not enough. Forgive yourself for not knowing any better, for being a little girl. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I want you to
Yeah.
forgive you, not him. Okay? Forgive your heart for not knowing any better and going, oh, but I do know better now. And now Dawn said I can have an empire love. And now I'm going to go get it. And I go, thank you, Dad. Every time you thank him, you're
Mm-hmm.
forgetting it.
Okay.
Because you're thanking him for pushing you off the cliff. So you go, oh, I can fly. Wow. I had no idea. That's what this is all about. That's what this
Okay.
whole chart and lifetime for you is about.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're so amazing. And that's why you're here. Okay? Does it help? Now you
Yeah.
feel better. You get it.
Yeah.
Your whole life summed up in 30 minutes. We got this. And it's 11:11, so make a wish.
Oh my goodness,
I'd
it
say I
is,
deserve
yeah.
it all. Tell the universe, I deserve it all. Go
Yeah.
ahead, say it.
I deserve it all.
Yes, you do. Okay. Do you have any other questions?
I think that was a lot.
A lot.
That's good.
It
Yeah.
was a lot. Do you feel better at least with the plan of I don't have a choice? This is your whole lifetime. So this isn't just now. This is your entire lifetime where you get to choose badass, beautiful Kate and not wounded, ping pong, pain Kate going back and forth. Again, you're not here to heal, honey. You're here to live. And now you know why.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And the questions that I came in with were kind of around if like dating would be a distraction or something, but it's not looking at it as a distraction. It's like a balancing, I think.
Looking at what someone can bring you,
Yeah.
right? I was a workaholic till my very professional, fun having husband, right, taught me how to break down the reins a little bit, and that I could do both, and that I could have both. And um, someone just said she will be amazing. I know it. She's beautiful. I know. I think so too. So, he came in to balance that. Do I have to
Yeah.
balance him with some of my order and structure and
Mm-hmm.
organization like you? Absolutely, because he's a bit of a squirrel, like you run, but that's what makes him so brilliant in the lighthearted aspect. He softens me and I lift him up to order. So
Mm-hmm.
we met each other in the middle where it's not over masculine, over feminine, over masculine. It's
Mm-hmm.
equal. Do we get off balance sometimes and have to pull each other? For sure. But that I want you to be in. That's what I want you to open your intention of going, okay, I can have someone who balances out my overdrive and I can balance out maybe their structure
Mm-hmm.
because both are needed.
Mm-hmm.
They may be uber successful in some creative venue and yours is, in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where you have to open up and go, okay, it's okay for me to receive.
Yeah.
And it's okay that dad showed me that's what I'm going to block myself. It's not a wall to go that way anymore. You're going to turn around and go, oh, that's where all the good stuff is. Yes. So he was blessing you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want, go hop onto my website. There's like the wheel, all the houses that we talked about are on there. Have
Mm-hmm.
you been on there at all?
I haven't. No.
Even if you open up, if you join the Warrior Pass membership, there's also a hotspot course, a digital course in there. You get access to every course I have in Warrior Pass. But
Mm-hmm.
if you open it up, you can sit through another, it's like and redo this again with your chart again and go, oh, that's right. And every time you tap into those 4 hotspots, it just notches you up the ladder a little bit more. I
Mm-hmm.
still have to deal with everybody's hotspots. These are these ones. They're either infernos or you keep them at a flicker flame of keeping you passionate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now that you know how to do that and you know what ones to look for, now you
Mm-hmm.
know how to have more control of who you want to be as opposed to what the world is telling you.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love you. You're going to be amazing. I'm not worried at all. Okay.
Yep.
Go be amazing badass and find me if you need anything. Okay.
Love you too, Dawn.
All
Thanks
right,
so
honey.
much for this.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.